Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the Let's Talk Thursdays podcast. My name is Brendan Plays. And well, after a few weeks of probably slow news, we had a very interesting week with a bit of a whirlwind of a week with lots of news coming along. Aries has gone from the WWE. Alberto Del Rio and Paige have dominated the news this week, and it's all over the place. What is going on there? I don't even... Oh my god, but we'll tackle that issue. And we've got the Great Balls of Fire. We had that pay-per-view. Pretty good pay-per-view. I enjoyed it. Pretty good. One of the better ones in a while. Surprising. I mean, Great Balls of Fire, you probably think, alright, that's a bit of a throwaway pay-per-view. But it ended up being pretty good, and not because of the match that I was hoping was going to be good, because that match sucked. And I'm talking about the Lesnar and Joe match, but the rest of the show is pretty solid. And plenty of things coming out of Raw, including, well, are the Hardy Boys now broken? What's going to be the main event of SummerSlam? We're going to find that out, and much, much more. So plenty to chat about this week on the show. For my channel, Brendan Plays, this weekend we're going to be having the NXT TakeOver special event. I was going to call it a pay-per-view, but it's not quite a pay-per-view, I guess. It's a special event, and that'll be taking place on probably Saturday or Sunday, something like that. Probably won't stream it live. I'm just going to upload it straight to the channel. Then after that, I think next weekend, hoping, fingers crossed, probably won't happen, but I would like to have SummerSlam done as well. Probably won't happen, but it'd be nice to get that done. At least I'll be working my butt off trying to get it done. So that's the plan. Right now. I've been a little bit neglectful of Universe Mode. I do apologize for that. I think I haven't lost interest, but I've just kind of tackle this new venture of playing TW, and I'm really, really enjoying that. And I've just been playing so much of that, so much so that I've just kind of not spent as much time as I have on Universe Mode. So I will be trying to pick that up in SummerSlam. I'm going to try and make it as good as I possibly can. And I'm going to try and work my hardest to make that a good show for you guys. So that's the plan. Try and pick it up, try and get Universe Mode back on track. But I have to try and make a choice, though. I may have to maybe drop Here Comes the Pain if I'm going to really go all in on TW, because you guys have been so supportive. I got to say thank you so much. You guys have just been slamming me. Brendan, we love TW. We love these videos. Can you keep uploading? So I have been. I've just been uploading as much as I can. And they're so easy for me to do. It's really... Uploading TW has really kind of saved my channel in a way. Not, saved in terms of views or anything like that, but it's saved it in terms of, well, keeping the videos coming, because it's really been allowed me to kind of take a small bit of a break from doing the Universe Mode and doing these other things, but also keep the videos coming and really find something that I've been super having a lot of fun with and upload that for you. And you guys know, I guess, if I'm having fun with something, you guys are going to have fun with something, so you guys have been really enjoying that, and I'm really, really grateful that a lot of you guys are giving that series a chance and being very consistent, and a lot of viewer interaction as well has been really excellent to see. So thank you very much if you're one of those who have been watching the TW videos. I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot. So thank you very much. Alright, so let's get into the other topics in the real world of the WWE and outside. I mean, Global Force is in the news as well and things like that this week, but we might start it off with the Austin Aries situation. Now, it feels like it's been so long since that all went down. Fortunately, kind of happened after our podcast last week. In a bit of a crazy day, we had Aries gone. We had AJ winning the championship at the house show as well. We'll talk about that later on. But the main thing was Austin Aries asked for his release from the WWE. Now, there's been a lot of rumors as to why that's happened. But here's my take on it. Well, from listening to a lot of shoot interviews and what people's perceptions and what people kind of gauge Austin Aries as a person, he's someone who's always a bit disgruntled. He's someone who's always got an issue, someone who's always never happy where he is. He's always got an issue, always, no matter what's happening, no matter what's presented in front of him, it's never quite good enough for him. At least that's what I've gathered. And I've never met the guy or anything like that, but this is the perception I've gotten from listening to other people's thoughts and opinions on the guy and the way they interact with him. Austin Aries, he's been in Ring of Honor, he's been in TNA, he's been in at the top of both companies. And there's been times where Austin Aries was still pissed off in Ring of Honor, despite being the Ring of Honor champion. He's been disgruntled there, and he's on top of the world. He's been TNA, and he's been, on top of the world there, and, up and down a little bit, but then he also, asked for his release there. He asked for his release in Ring of Honor. So he's been at the top in Ring of Honor. He's been at the top of TNA. He's asked for his release on both of those occasions. So it's kind of like, well, okay, you've been given the opportunities, you've been given that chance to be the top guy, and you were a top guy, and you're still not quite happy, and then he makes the jump in the latter end of his career to the WWE, and then he gets put into the NXT realm, and then he moves into 205 Live. So let's analyze his career. I mean, let's compare that to his past career of obviously being the top guy in Ring of Honor, and obviously TNA World Champion as well. Let's kind of compare the two. He got brought in and straight away put in NXT when he probably saw AJ Styles go straight to the main roster. I mean, that can, obviously working with AJ Styles, Austin Aries probably knows AJ Styles, probably believes that he's just as good as AJ Styles in his mind, because Austin Aries is a bit of an egomaniac. He is. He thinks quite highly of himself. He carries himself like a top guy. In his mind, he carries himself like a star, and that's fair enough. And in my opinion, more people should probably do that. Yes, you should be humble, but if you believe in yourself, then others will believe in you too. And I think that's, taking yourself too seriously can also be a bit of a hindrance, like a Bret Hart, for example. But if you believe in yourself, then I think some people are going to get on board with that too. At least, if you're striving to be the top guy, you got more of a chance to get there instead of, all right, I'm content with being a mid-card guy. I'm content with being in the Cruiserweights. You're never really going to get past that. But if you're Austin Aries and say, hey, I want to be WWE World Champion, and if I can't be that, then I don't want to be here. Which is probably how I feel. I think that's probably what's going on here. Austin Aries, we'll start from the beginning. Brought into NXT. Was he ever really the top guy in NXT? He was not positioned as the NXT champion. Let's say he debuts now. Let's say he's coming in now after having a decent, TNA and independent run. Would he perhaps get the opportunity to be the world champion, the NXT champion? Perhaps. He has probably more of a chance. He came in at a time where Nakamura, Balor, and Samoa Joe were all there, I believe. So the chance for him to really go above those guys wasn't really going to be there. I think those three are all above him. And I mean, look at it now. They're all main eventing Raw or SmackDown. So there you go. They probably made the right decision. So Austin Aries never really treated as a top guy in NXT to begin with. He wasn't, he was one of their stars, but he was never the star. And then he got, injured by Nakamura. The big, was it a kick or a knee? I'm not quite sure, but hit him in the eye. He was gone for a number of months with the eye injury. And I gotta say, man, having an eye injury like that, that's brutal. I've never had one myself, but getting injured to the eye, whenever you have something wrong with your eye, in my opinion, it's so frustrating. It's such a nuisance because you got to blink all the time. You got to have your eyes open to see. You need your eyes for everything. And if that's injured, that's in pain. That's constant pain all day. Even if it's just an eye, it's still such a nuisance. And plus, as well as that, you got your whole body. It's like, well, I can still work out. I can still run. I can still probably wrestle, but I just can't get hit in the face. So you can still do everything, but you just can't because this eye injury. So that would have been very frustrating for him already. And obviously, probably, was he getting a bit of a push in NXT? I think his stocks were probably about to rise. I don't think there was any plan to bring him to the main roster at that time. I know I was planning on seeing him in December for the NXT house show in December, but obviously he was injured, so that was not going to happen. So that was a little disappointing for myself. But anyways, an NXT run that was mediocre, nothing really memorable sticks out for me. Nothing special. So he comes off that. They introduced 205 Live, and Austin Aries is a small guy. His height has always been a big hindrance. His ability and his personality and his charisma and his microphone ability has always allowed him to be more than what he probably should be. He's a great in-ring performer, and his great mic skills has allowed him to perhaps reach the top that most guys his size would never really get to, because he's not just you look at CM Punk and people might say, all right, he's not a big guy, but then you look at Austin Aries, he's quite a bit smaller than that, so he's quite a short guy in comparison to what the typical small wrestler is. So he's even smaller than that. So he's not Rey Mysterio, but he's not that much bigger than Rey Mysterio. 5 or 6 inches, but that's not that much when you consider it. Consider what his height actually is. But so Austin Aries has so much tremendous ability. They put him in this 205 Live, this Cruiserweight division that they have high hopes for, that everyone in the world is clamoring to see back. I've been seeing it for years. Before it came back, when people said, what's one title you'd like to see come back, everyone would say the Cruiserweight Championship. Some people would say it like me, would say the Hardcore Championship, because honestly, when I look at the Cruiserweights, and it's never really been successful in the WWE. They've never been treated seriously. They've always been treated as a second-class citizen. I've been watching 2005 WWE, and back then on SmackDown, the Cruiserweight Championship was only on SmackDown. Back then, the Cruiserweights might get one match every 2 or 3 weeks. Now they get obviously get in their own show, and they it's not nobody watches it. They get their own show, and they get a match on Raw, or maybe 2 matches, so they get time. But back in the day, they didn't get any time. And to be honest, thank God, because I'd rather see Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio have 10 minutes longer than see Paul London and Billy Kidman for 5 minutes not doing much. So I personally, I'd rather Funaki and guys like that. That was their Cruiserweight division. Nunzio, and there were some decent wrestlers there, sure, but they just never really treated them as stars, and they would always get beat up. They'd always get destroyed when they ever took on a heavyweight, and they were just always treated like a joke. So you look at that and you go, okay, 12 years, 11 years later, 10 years later, can they make these guys something? And the answer is no. It's the same thing. This time they don't have them interact with anyone else other than Cruiserweight, so they separate them completely. They put purple freaking ropes on, which is ridiculous. And they're now the bathroom break. They're now the piss break. Everyone, all right, purple ropes are on. I'm going to take a piss and get something to eat, and I'll come back. And I don't blame them. It's the Cruiserweights, the whole point of it is this is the most exciting hour of television. That's 205 Live. But what are we seeing different in the Cruiserweights that we don't see from Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and even Luke Harper's doing dives through the ropes, and all these other guys doing all the same thing that the Cruiserweights do. They don't do anything different. They don't bring anything new to the table. The only thing different is they're a lot smaller, not much, charisma, worse storylines. It's just even worse a product than what they get now, and the product now is not even that amazing. So you're basically saying, all right, we're copying what we're already doing, but we're making it twice as worse, twice as bad. So of course people aren't going to watch that. The Cruiserweight Championship tournament, that was a success because they allowed the wrestlers to do more. The wrestlers were going out there and doing a lot more. And obviously the risk of injury and things like that are more there, and they weren't necessarily working the WWE style. But now the Cruiserweights work the WWE style. They just, they might do 1 or 2 high spots in a match, do a rest hold, and et cetera, et cetera. They play for, they wrestle for TV now. So they're held back on what they can do. And personally, I think that's a big mistake. I think they've got to just let these guys go out. House shows and things like that, yeah, take it easy. Tell them, all right, tone it down on this one. But when it comes to 205 Live, they need to be going all out. They need to be having a killer match. And the best way to do that now is on their pay-per-views is to get these Cruiserweights out there and show what they can do. And they do that, and it's just the same thing. It's just nothing there. It's nothing special. So the Cruiserweights it's a curse. Being in the Cruiserweight division is an absolute curse right now, and I can't see it getting any better. My prediction is that 205 Live will be gone before WrestleMania. I could be wrong, but I feel like they're going to give up on it. What are we now? July. So WrestleMania, April next year. That's still some time. What is that? 9 months away. I think before then, it could even be Royal Rumble time. I feel like 205 Live will be dropped. 205 Live will be dropped. The Cruiserweight division, I think they're going to be a little bit more stubborn, and they've hired all these guys, so they probably feel, all right, we better use them. So I feel like they'll keep the Cruiserweight division around, but it's going to be the pre-show. It's going to be pre-show matches. There's going to be a match. All right, we'll get 10 minutes on the pay-per-view at tops. They've just got no one there. They've got Neville, who's carrying the division, doing excellent but he's got no one else. He's got no support. Tozawa's doing okay, but not enough to really make much of an impact. You know, they had Jack Gallagher, probably the only guy who was doing much for a while there, but he got kind of stale. They just did the same kind of thing every week. And I guess to tie it all back in to Austin Aries, the only guy that really did make a splash, the only guy that we thought, all right, can match Neville, was Austin Aries. And they had him lose at WrestleMania. They had a few more matches after that. He lost, and then he was done. Took him off TV, and now he's gone. So they've lost their biggest, secondary player, I suppose. Their second best guy, their number one babyface in the Cruiserweight division. And they've got no one anywhere near Austin Aries' level. Now, Austin Aries, was he setting the world on fire? No. But I'm sure if he was working with some other guys, I'm sure if he was working with people more talented and more, more free range, I'm sure he probably does better. But I think he made the most of what he had, and I think you put him in the 205 Live, you put him in the Cruiserweight division, you had him lose at WrestleMania, maybe another rematch after that, and then you move him on to something else. Start working with other guys on the roster. Start having him have matches with Finn Balor, Samoa Joe. Have these matches, and then I feel like Austin Aries is starting to become a real deal again, and could be a threat in the mid card. Maybe if he gets over enough, maybe a low end main event guy. Who knows? But they had this perception that okay, once you're in the cruiserweights, that's it. You can only verse the cruiserweights. And this is the funny thing. You got a guy like Kalisto on their roster who's been on Raw all the time. And you look at Kalisto and he's absolutely screams cruiserweight. You look at him and go, all right, he's in the cruiserweight division, right? He's not. He's not the cruiserweight division. You know why? Because they don't want him affected. They don't want to ruin him. They don't want to put him in the cruiserweight division that's got this stain, that's got this infection, this cancer involved with it. You're in the cruiserweight division. It's a death penalty. It's a curse. It ends your career. Just you nosedive even further. Now, Kalisto's not doing well. Let's not get crazy. But at least if you put him in the cruiserweight division, theoretically, he's working with guys similar to him. He could have all the, him and Neville could probably have a great match. But they don't do it. Instead, they would rather him lose every week or have matches with the Apollo Crews and not do much than be in their own cruiserweight division. They had this, perception that, all right, only guys that we've hired that's been in this tournament that we did, they're the only guys that can be in this division. No one else. We don't want anyone else in this division. The only guy who's kind of been in there was Neville. They put Sin Cara in, and he lasted 2-3 weeks, and we never saw him have another cruiserweight match again. And now he's on SmackDown. So, they clearly themselves don't think that the cruiserweights is anything. I think they brought Austin Aries in just to have the big rivalry, just in hope that it would create some attention. And it did. And they had a good pre-show match at WrestleMania. And again, pre-show match. Good pre-show match. And they didn't even put it on the WrestleMania DVD. So that's how much they care. That's how much they care. They don't care. They're not doing themselves any favors with this division. And in my opinion, it's 205 Live will be done by WrestleMania. And this time next year, will we even have a Cruiserweight Championship? I don't know. To be honest, I feel like Neville could be the last Cruiserweight Champion. I feel like he may just hold it right to the end. Because who the hell's going to beat him? Unless they bring someone up from NXT, which I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I don't know who the hell's going to beat him. This division is done. It needs to go. Honestly, it needs to go. I just can't stand it anymore. I just have no interest in it at all. The only guy that I was remotely interested in other than Neville is now gone. And you can't blame the guy. If he really wanted to go and work in the main event, and he wanted to work with these other guys, do something different, they wouldn't let him, then hell yeah, I don't blame him for wanting to release. So, yeah, I can understand why he's pissed. I can understand why he wants to be gone. If he's not happy there, and they're not letting him do what he wants to do, if they said, nope, you're in this Cruiserweight division, that's it, you can't work with anyone else, and I don't blame the guy. Honestly. So, 205 Live, the curse strikes again. And by the way, in my opinion, the best Cruiserweight they've got, they don't even use him. Grant Metalik. He's the one guy in that tournament last year that I went, wow, this guy is freaking awesome. Absolutely awesome. And what's he doing now? I think he showed up twice. A couple matches. And they, he had a botch or two. To be fair, he had a couple botches. But I watched him have a match, and I watched the rest of the matches in the show, and he was the only guy who got a reaction out of the crowd. He did some cool moves, using the ropes, bouncing off the ropes, doing something different. He was someone who was doing something different. He looked different, he moved different, he acted different, and the crowd reacted. And you know what he's doing? Absolutely nothing. Instead, we get the same other guys doing the same shit. Seth Rollins does 3 dives a match. That doesn't help. If you're trying to have a cruiserweight division, you got to tell the main event guys, don't jump around, don't do 6 dives a match, don't dive from one ring to the other side of the ring. That's the other issue. Everyone is doing too many damn dives. I don't like it. Not a big fan of the dive. Yeah, I'm jumping the Randy Orton thing. I don't mind dives, but why do we need 3 suicide dives every Raw? Like every second match has got a suicide dive through the ropes, or jumping over the top, or jumping off the top rope to the outside, doing a crossbody or a splat. We've got that all the time. So if you want to have a legitimate cruiserweight division, it's not helping that you've got your other guys on the other part of the show doing the stuff the cruiserweights should be doing. So what's special about the cruiserweights? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Anyways, bring it back to Austin Aries. What's his future? My opinion, I think he'll go to Global Force Wrestling or TNA, whatever. I feel like if he went to Ring of Honor, he wouldn't be the top guy. I think they've got other plans there. Cody Rhodes, I think, is their champion now. They got the New Japan guys there all the time. So I feel like Austin Aries wouldn't be the guy. Not in this stage of the game. Global Force Wrestling, we've got this Del Rio, El Patron, whatever. This issue that he's now been suspended, potentially could be stripped of the championship or lose the championship soon. Bobby Lashley, there's rumors that he might quit wrestling and pursue MMA full time. So that's their top 2 stars gone. The only other guys that got James Storm, EC3, whatever. Not much there. Austin Aries comes there. I'm sure not long he'll get that belt. He'll get the world title. He can be the man. He can, work there for a couple of years, be one of the top guys, and ride off in sunset. The other option is he just retires. Straight up retires. He's 39. Probably made his money. And might call it a day. Or the other option, of course, he just does indie shows and just what a lot of guys does. Just go around and, gets $2,000 for an appearance, or $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, whatever he's charging. Does that, just does the indies. Gets, makes some money and works a few shows every week and, goes on his way. Can't see him in Japan. I don't see that, especially... now he's, got a family. I'm sure he doesn't want to go over to Japan. A lot of guys late in life don't want to go to Japan. I understand that because they don't want to be they don't want to be away. You just leave the WWE and you get a chance to be home. I don't think you necessarily want to do that. That's just how I view it. Especially when there's easier gigs in the US and probably pays the same. So if I was Global Force Wrestling, I'm throwing the checkbook at Austin Aries and say, come on in. Because I need someone like him. Coming off the WWE run, he's got that exposure. He's very, very good still. Even if he's difficult to work with at times, they've got Del Rio there, so what do they care? So that's where I see him ending up. And I know I spent a lot of time on this, but just the 205 Live thing just pisses me off, and I'm just so over it. This whole, we can't work with other guys. There's so many things that they could do. Let's be honest. Just go back to it for a quick minute. I apologize. Just a quick minute. You look at Neville, Cruiserweight champ, he's beaten everyone in the division. If you have Neville and you start having him, verse other guys, let's say he versus Dean Ambrose, and he beats Dean Ambrose, doesn't that make Neville just look that much better? Doesn't that just make Neville... that just puts over the cruiserweights that much more. Okay, wow, what are the cruiserweights is beating some of the top guys? The cruiserweight champ is beating some of the top guys, and it legitimizes the cruiserweights, because right now... we feel like the Cruiserweights is a side act, and these guys couldn't beat anyone. Could they beat anyone that's not in the Cruiserweight division? You'd probably say no. But if they had their champion and some of their top contenders, not all of them, but if they started to beat a few other guys around the roster and integrate them, tag team matches, and to be honest, some of these Cruiserweights, they should be a tag team. They need more tag teams. Pair 2 or 3 of these Cruiserweights up. Team them up, have a stable, have a group. Say, hey, we're the Cruiserweights. Yes, we're in the Cruiserweight division, but we're also coming for the tag titles. We're going to prove that we're not just Cruiserweights, that we're good everywhere. We can do it all. Simple storyline, simple tag team, could work. easy. Start moving them in. Start doing other things with them, because right now they're just versing the same people every week. If you moved them on and had all these guys interact with these different people on Raw, you create so many new matchups, even if we're not that interested in them, but you would get interested in them more, because you're seeing them work with other people. You're seeing them work with some different guys, different styles of meshing. Because sometimes the same styles all the time in the ring, they're high-flying guys, two high flyers, it's the same thing. And when you see, an Elias Sampson, a big dude, he's working with a high flyer, that creates a few different scenarios, some interesting different dynamics, and it creates more variance. And to me, that's what Raw needs, some more variety. But what the hell I know, I'm just a fan, but that's just my opinion. That's just how I would at least start to mend the mess they've got. But anyways, let's move on. Another topic that we're going to chat about, Paige and Del Rio. I don't want to spend too much time on this, not as much as I did on the Cruiserweight thing. But over the weekend, Paige, Del Rio, I'm just going to call him Del Rio, that's what I know him as. So, Paige and Del Rio had an incident at an airport. Now, if you ask Paige, it was just, she threw a drink on Del Rio because he was being mean to her, saying mean things. Other people saying he's been assaulted, Del Rio's been assaulting her, she's got bruises, this and that. I don't know. We don't know the full story. We don't know what's for real, what to believe. But what we do know is this has just been a disaster. I said this a year ago when these two got together. This is not going to work. This is not going to last. The age gap is too big. And what are we seeing? The last few months are just scandal after scandal, incident after incident. And it's not getting any better. It's just getting worse. And now this situation here, it's blowing up. There's been even an audio clip that just sounds so bad. My God, people, family, Paige's family said, look, she's in an abusive relationship. It's going to be similar to Amy Winehouse. God, this is just not good. This is just not good. Look, we've said a lot of bad things about Paige. Everyone has. We're disappointed in her with the choices that she's made, where she's taken her life, her career right now is, up in the air. Does she even have a career anymore? But in this situation, you just have to feel sorry for her. If this is an abusive relationship that she just can't get out of, then this is terrible. She needs help. From the sounds of it, she needs help. Del Rio, from the sounds of it, he just sounds like a guy who's been drinking a lot, probably pilled up, cocaine apparently involved. So he's got on drugs, allegedly, drinking allegedly, well, clearly drinking a lot, all the periscopes, and calling out Triple H to have a fight, Xavier Woods to have a fight. All these just ridiculous things. And let's not forget, this guy's 40 years old. 40 years old, he's carrying on like a child. You have to wonder who's the, Paige, is she the more mature one in the relationship? And she's only, in her mid-20s now. But then again, Paige is in her mid-20s. And look, I'm 22 years old. Let me get that out. 22 years of age. I didn't want to say it, that's why. But, I never acted out and acted ridiculous and made these poor choices because you're young and stupid, so they say. But, I'm similar age to her, and I don't want to go out and make a sex tape and do all this and that, and it's just bad choices, and you could say bad influence. Yeah, that's always a factor, but at the end of the day, she's making those choices. So we could say, yeah, she's young and stupid, but I think she's just stupid at this point. I think she's just making terrible choices. But look, when you're in an abusive relationship, that's the other thing. It's so hard to get out of. Never been in one myself. Don't want to be in one. Don't know anyone who's actually been in one either. But from what I know, it's so difficult. You're in denial. You'll start defending the actions of the person that's doing something wrong. And, we don't know if it is or not. But from what we gather, what the family's been saying, it seems like that's the case. And Paige, defending the actions of Del Rio, saying, he didn't do anything wrong, he just, he was a bit mean to me, but it was okay, I was, this and that, I threw a drink on him. Defending the actions of someone who's doing something wrong, that's a clear sign, of abuse, and I don't know, man, it's a tough situation. It's a touchy subject. We can't really comment too much because we just don't know what's going on. But it is really hard. It's really hard to see her fall so hard from grace. I mean, what was it, 4 years ago, winning the Women's Championship on top of the world. We all thought, here we go. This is WWE's next big diva. She's going to be the woman to carry this company for years. She could be the next, women's wrestling icon in the WWE. She could be, just this generation's Trish and Lita, whatever. All these kids look up to her. And here we are a few years later and she's forgotten, gone, done. Makes a bad relationship choice. Is she on drugs? Probably. Bad relationship right now with her employer. She's been backstage at TNA. She's been spotted on camera on TNA. People seeing her on TNA. Posting pictures over there. We all know she's going to be backstage. That's that's fair enough. I'm sure the WWE's like, all right. He works there. She's got a right to kind of be there. That's okay. But it's just. It seems to me Del Rio wants her gone from WWE. He's doing his best to, convince him to get rid of her. He's calling out Triple H, talking shit all the time. It's clear that he wants her gone. So, he get her all to herself. I think he just wants her away from that, and he can, control her career, control her life. And that's sad to see because Paige, I'm sure, if she recovers from this injury, she probably got to be recovering soon, right? If not already recovered. It can't be too far away. You'd like to see you get back in the ring and salvage this career. Is it going to be possible to do? I don't know. This sex tape, I think, is the biggest issue. We've all seen it. It was disappointing. That's the hardest thing. But I think this situation, this is one of those situations like, okay, she's made some bad choices. She's in a bad relationship. She gets out of it. The WWE can take her back in and, mend fences and sort this out. It can be done. It can be done. That relationship between Paige and WWE can be mended. You get the feeling that she's grown up in the WWE. That's the thing. She came there as a very young kid. As a kid, 18, 19, whatever it was. Very, very young. And so she's grown up in the WWE. And now they're seeing one of their own, going away, making bad choices. I'm sure they want to try and help her, try and fix that. But you can't help someone that just refuses help. So she needs to, she wants to be helped. She needs to be willing to accept help before we can give it to her. And I don't think she is right now. But I feel like we're not too far away from that breaking point. And hopefully that breaking isn't resulting in a death or, a bad physical assault or something along those lines, because that's where it's getting. That's the scary thing. I fear that for Paige. And look, I was a fan of Paige. I thought she was great. At a time when the women's division was done, it was dead. AJ Lee was gone. Paige picked up the scraps. She was carrying the thing on her back. I was really enjoying her. But now I've got zero interest in her whatsoever. But look, if she can come back and she can salvage her career, I will, have some respect for her. But if she just walks away, perhaps even walks away from wrestling, it'd be disappointing. It'd be a whole bright career wasted, gone. And that'd be very sad to see. I mean, yeah, she could probably go and wrestle in TNA, and I'm probably sure if she does leave WWE, that's where she'll be headed. Absolutely. But I think she's still got so much more to give in the WWE, and I still think the WWE wants to use her. That's why they haven't fired her. They still, they still want to do something with her, and they want to, get her back. So I think she can save her career. It's not going to be easy. I don't know how they're going to go about it. I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have to address the tape, surely. I mean, I don't know. They're going to have to do something because it's all over the internet. Everyone knows about it. And I'm sure her reaction is going to be pretty mixed if she does come out in the front of the crowd. So, look, I just hope she can sort it out because it's just a really sad situation at this point. It really is. But anyways, last little piece of news before we get into Raw. Apparently there's some heat on Enzo and Cass. Apparently Enzo is not happy about the split. And apparently he was kicked off the team bus by Roman Reigns. and given the Miz treatment, so he's not allowed to get dressed in the locker room and things like that. Apparently that's going on. So apparently Roman Reigns, he's the locker room leader now, I guess, on Raw. He's the man. He's, what is he? Is he the judge of Wrestlers Court now too? Is he the top guy, the big dog? I don't know. Maybe. And I guess people say, well, why is Roman Reigns kicking people off the bus? But you think about it, Roman Reigns is the number one guy on Raw. You could say Lesnar, but why would Brock Lesnar be even on the team bus, the Raw bus? That's never going to happen. He's going to have his own private, car or a bus or whatever to get there, private jet to get wherever he wants to go. So I guess if take away Lesnar, Roman Reigns is the next top guy. So you probably think, well, why Roman Reigns calling the shots? Well, because he's the top freaking guy. And when you're the top guy in the company, you call the shots. It's just how it is. It's how it's always been. The Clique, they're the top guys. Shawn Michaels, top guy, number one guy, untouchable. Called the shots. Taker, locker room leader. You know why? Top guy. Respected. Everyone respects the man. So you're top guy in the company. You got a lot of pull. You got a lot of, you got a lot of say. And if you don't like someone, you can, we've seen it before with John Cena. He doesn't like someone, he can ruin you. And Roman Reigns obviously didn't like what Enzo was doing, kicked him out of the bus, and Enzo's got to do what he got to do because you don't want to piss Roman Reigns off. You're the top guy in the company. Well, what are you going to do? So that's how I see it. Like I said, I've been reading some tweets, people saying, well, why the hell's Roman Reigns? Why is he the one? Why can he say who's on the bus or not? But, that's just how it is. You're the number one. He may not have been around all that long, but when you've got the company behind you, when you main evented 3 WrestleManias in a row, I think you can start to say whatever the hell you want. I think you can start to get a bit of pull and a bit of respect from the boys. So there you go. All right, so a few recaps here quickly. We'll quickly recap the Great Balls of Fire. Like I said, I did enjoy the show. I thought the tag team Iron Man match was surprisingly amazing. Really, really good. Great finish. I'm not surprised it was amazing. I just thought, how are they going to make a 30-minute tag match that we've already kind of seen these two teams face each other so much? How are they going to make this exciting and interesting? Well, they found a way. Cesaro in there, that always helps. Jeff and Matt Hardy always helps. And hey, Sheamus did a good job too. Look, Sheamus, been a shit-lister on mine for a long time. Nearly a shit list Hall of Famer. He's spent more time on the shit list than not on the shit list. But, you got to respect this tag team and what he's been doing here with Cesaro. It's been really good. So, great tag match. My favorite match of the show. The ambulance match was good. Roman Reigns committing a felony on Braun Strowman trying to kill the man was interesting. It just took way too damn long, though. It took way too long to get that door open, and they even had to have an impromptu match that we didn't even see the finish for. What the hell was the point? I get it for the live crowd, but it was ridiculous. They had an impromptu match. We didn't even get to see what happened. It didn't even have a little, window in the bottom right, part of the screen. They didn't have a tiny little screen to show what's going on in the ring. That's how much they did not care, which is just sad. They're just buried Kurt Hawkins and Heath Slater, essentially. So, they're already been buried, but, they dug an extra foot. And look, the other matches are okay. It is what it is. The one I was really looking forward to the most was Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe. And I got to say, I was so disappointed by this match. Too short, not much to it. Just, a whole Kikita clutch and then a couple moves from Lesnar, and that's it. So disappointed, so disgusted, really. I was just so furious. I really wanted this to be great. I'm starting to wonder, can Brock Lesnar wrestle anymore? Can he go 10 minutes anymore? Can he do it? Or is WWE protecting him so much? WWE, and now Brock Lesnar having a match is special, but now Brock Lesnar, he won't have a match over 10 minutes. He'll only save that for WrestleMania now. A Lesnar match, we didn't even get that at WrestleMania, did we? So, I don't even know. Is a special match from Lesnar? A WrestleMania match is now 10 minutes and plus from Lesnar? Is that the only what we get every other time? It's under 10. I don't know. Under 5 probably. It's getting worse. And Lesnar hasn't had a good match for a while, probably since the Undertaker Hell in a Cell match. So it's been a while now. And he's now the champ. And you beat Samoa Joe. 5, 6, 7 minutes. He got beat up the whole match and nearly lost, but I don't know, man. I really don't want to see Lesnar 5-minute matches anymore. I'm done with that. And by the way, the other match on the card, Enzo and Cass 1-on-1. I think Big Cass's theme song is horrendous. I hate it. It's not good. Doesn't suit him. Don't like it at all. It's terrible. Need to tweak that, I think. I was kind of curious to see what they'd come up with, and that was not the right choice. I thought, a metal, sounding rock song was where they were going to go, but that just doesn't sound good to me. It's just not good for an entrance song. The start of it, especially. Thought the match is just it is what it is. It was what it was. And Big Cass got the win. Enzo cut a long promo, and the promo isn't any longer than the match. So, yeah, I mean, look, they'll drag this feud out a little bit longer. Now the Big Show's getting involved now from what we know from Raw. So, I think that's a good call. Big Show getting involved, set up for a SummerSlam, a bit more of an even match, put Enzo in Big Show's corner to cheer him on. I think that's the right call. Over on Raw, we had an absolutely epic, one of the best segments in a long time. Lesnar, Joe, and Roman Reigns. That segment was real. It was off script. At least it felt like it. Off the cuff. Intense. And I loved it. It felt like these three guys hate each other and just talking smack. Especially Joe and Lesnar. That was really good. Brock Lesnar was a star in this segment. Getting on the mic finally for once. And using him in this capacity. Having him come out there and cut a wrestling promo doesn't work for Brock Lesnar. Having him come out there and talk trash to a guy he's going to fight. Remember his UFC promos? They were pretty good. Because he's talking real. Talking to a guy he's going to fight. You put him in a promo like that, it works. He can do it. You can't, have him cut a wrestling promo. He can't do that. So this worked. And I loved it. It really set up for a match next week. Reigns and Joe. In my opinion, you have Braun Strowman come out. Double DQ, whatever. You make it a fatal 4-way. Fatal 4-way. All three guys deserve a shot at Lesnar, and hey, we can finally get a longer match than 10 minutes because you can have Lesnar throw him through the announce table, have him have a nap for 10 minutes. There's his break, and he has to wrestle at the end, come back in and get the win. Meanwhile, you have Joe, Reigns, and Strowman do all the work. Basically, have a triple threat with a Lesnar cameo, and there's your match. And I think that'd be freaking great. Love to see it. I still want to see Reigns and Strowman battle it out. I'm still not through with that yet. I'm not done with it. I'm not finished with it yet. I want to see more. And Samoa Joe, it'd be criminal to have him on the sidelines not doing anything at SummerSlam after this epic promo, the feud that he's done, the storyline that they've built. It'd be criminal to see him on the sideline not being a part of SummerSlam after all that. Absolute criminal. So Fatal 4-Way needs to happen. Absolutely needs to happen. Speaking of the pay-per-view, we also had some, matches we could have seen on the pay-per-view happen on Raw. Elias Samson and Finn Balor and R-Truth and Goldust. The two matches were nothing special. Maybe that's why they, put them on Raw. But it's kind of interesting that they didn't put that on the pay-per-view or even the pre-show. They saved it for Raw instead. The R-Truth and Goldust matches have been awful. The interactions that they've had, the brawls that they've had just haven't been good. Just have not been good. The promos and things like that have been fine, but the in-ring stuff just has not been good. And I feel like they're going to probably can it. I think that's on its way out. I think they're going to finish this. It reminds me of Goldust and I want to say Stardust, or is it Cody Rhodes? I'm not sure what he was. But it reminds me of that. It might have been Stardust when they built it, and then it just didn't, a throwaway match, just forgot about it. So that's what it reminds me of. So Goldust at this point just can't get any love, just can't get any real momentum. But so the other real big piece of news, the Hardy Boys. I think it's all but confirmed that they are now going to be broken. They got laid out by the Revival and the Club, which I think was a good thing. Take them off TV, bring them back at SummerSlam. They're broken. You come out and do all the, the Hardy stuff. They're broken, yada, yada, yada. Have them come out, clear house, and go from there. I think that would be a great moment for SummerSlam because they do it on Raw. It's not going to be special. They need some time away. You can't just go from being the Hardy Boys, Jeff and Matt, next week to now Brother Nero and, whatever. they need some time. They've got enough time between now and SummerSlam where it could make sense. So I think that's the way to go. And beating them down is a good way to take them off TV. And also, you give the Revival and the Club a bit of momentum. But my problem here is, where do they go with this tag division? They haven't really got any babyface teams now. So who's Cesaro and Sheamus really going after? I don't know. Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel looking like $1 million with The Miz. It goes to show you put a couple scrubs with a guy who's going pretty well, and you can, elevate those scrubs. They're no longer scrubs. They're okay. They're doing well. Curtis Axel looks $1 million in a suit, honestly. Can't cut a promo really, but, he looks good. Bo Dallas looks fine. I like the group. The Miztourage, it's working. I think it's good. And they're saving the careers of Dallas and Curtis Axel. I like it. Maurice, she looked good in that green dress on Raw. That's all I'll say about that. And Bray Wyatt got a win over Seth Rollins, which is interesting. Another win over Rollins. But I don't know what's the plan. I mean, Seth Rollins has now inserted himself into this feud with the Miztourage. Well, what's Bray Wyatt going to be doing at SummerSlam? The only guy who's probably available, Finn Balor. And what I would do is I would have Bray Wyatt try and lure the demon out of Finn Balor. Because I think Bray Wyatt, if you're going to bring out the demon, Bray Wyatt's got to be the guy to kind of do it. He's going to be the guy who's going to be fixated on the demon. He's going to want to see it. He's going to want to try to see Finn Balor bring it out. So that's an easy way to kind of reintroduce it again. Bray Wyatt, do it at SummerSlam. If you're going to do the demon, it's big enough to do it at SummerSlam. SummerSlam's a number 2 or 3, however you want to view it. One of the biggest and best pay-per-views. SummerSlam, the demon deserves to be out there. But that's Raw. I actually really enjoyed Raw. I did not like SmackDown. I really have very little interest in SmackDown right now, whereas Raw, there's a few good storylines. And not only that, the Kurt Angle thing, forgot about that. What's going on with Kurt Angle? I have no idea. A lot of people are saying Dixie Carter. I don't think it's going to be Dixie. I don't see her. I don't think nobody knows who Dixie is. People do, but the real, casual fans, nobody knows Dixie Carter. Plus, are we forgetting? Dixie Carter was getting go away heat. She was horrible. Her voice is just, no thank you. But what is it? I really don't know. It has to be kind of a scandal or an affair, surely, because it says it's going to ruin him. He was saying that he loves this person on the phone. I don't know. I really don't know. My prediction, I'm going to make one. It's hard to say. Prediction, Kurt Angle brings out his wife, confesses that he's not been faithful, and perhaps he wasn't faithful with Stephanie McMahon. Triple H is furious, and maybe Stephanie McMahon was framing him, or maybe, she's blackmailing him, or something like that, and Kurt Angle's done something wrong. It doesn't have to be, cheating, but Stephanie McMahon's doing something to frame him, or Triple H trying to ruin Kurt Angle because of jealousy over the years, setting up for a SummerSlam match, because there has to be a payoff. You can't have Kurt Angle just do something and then, it has to be a match or something down the line that's a payoff. And Kurt Angle, Triple H should be good. And a good way to get Kurt Angle back in the ring. So I think that's where they got to go. It's got to be something to do with Stephanie and Triple H, surely. I can't see it being anything else. I don't know the specifics, but that's just my wild guess. Perhaps something, probably a cheating or something there. I don't know. Hard to say. They could go any direction, really. But it's interesting. This is the thing I like. Mystery. We've got a reason to tune in next week. What's going on with Kurt Angle? Whereas, how long has it been since we had that? How long has it been since we've had a storyline that we're generally interested in, what's going on, and we want to tune in next week to find out? It's been a long time since there's had anything like that. Certainly didn't have it on SmackDown this week. We had AJ Styles, now the US champ. He wanted a house show. Look, I'm not a major fan of it, but I think it needs to happen every now and then just to make the house shows meaningful again, to add the mystery that you never know what's going to happen on a house show. We've had Undertaker return on house shows, Triple H have matches on house shows, things like that. So that's good. They need to do this every now and then. Every few years, they're going to do a title change. Doesn't really hurt Kevin, even though he had a whole American gimmick going on. So probably does hurt him, really. But it's okay. I'm sure. I probably see Owens winning it back at the pay-per-view. Probably. They tease Cena and AJ. I don't think that's going to happen. They're both baby faces and certainly kind of acknowledging each other at the end of their tag match. Not going to happen, but, it's a nice little tease. And the last little thing, Charlotte. Wow. Talk about a fall from grace. Talk about the superstar shakeup, the trades. You talk about that killing the momentum of someone. Charlotte, the queen of Raw, she's so far ahead of everyone. So far ahead of everyone, and now she just seems like another woman on SmackDown. Just seems like, I could probably see Natalya beating Charlotte. Yeah, I could see Tamina beating Charlotte. She's just, another person. She's lost all her aura about her, at least in my view. So, there you go. Not good there. All right, so we'll get through a few more things here. Speaking of Kurt Angle, the 24, the WWE 24 on him was excellent. The little documentary they had showing his return to the WWE was excellent. It showed the real Kurt Angle, the real issues he went through. Like Dixie Carter, she was on it. Yes, she was on it. She talked about Kurt Angle and the struggles he had in TNA. They didn't spend long on TNA, and they did acknowledge TNA. They did say Dixie Carter, former president of TNA. They did say TNA, which is rare. And normally they'll say she was from another wrestling company in Southeast, something like that, in Florida. So that was interesting. It was good. If you haven't checked it out, definitely do it on the WWE Network. Even if you're not a Kurt Angle fan, I think you'll appreciate Kurt Angle's return just a little bit more. Last little piece of news, WWE 2K18 is coming to the Nintendo Switch. I think that's a good move for the Switch to get more of these types of games, and also not a bad move from WWE. Expand their horizons a little bit. It's not going to be like an old generation game. It's going to be, a current generation. It's going to be pretty similar to what you get from the PS4 and Xbox versions. I doubt it's going to be exactly the same, but it'll be quite similar, I'm sure, which is good, good news. Good news for the Switch. I won't get it on the Switch, but, look, if they want to send me a copy, I'll try it out, but I do have the Switch, but it's good that they do have, the Switch, and I think they need to cover all consoles. It's a shame that they don't do PC until forever, until the game is so far along in its release cycle. There's so many issues with W2K that I could spend a whole podcast on, but it's a good move. They're making some good moves this year. Look, I'm very passionate about the game, very passionate about what I want to see and the moves I want to see them do. And I understand they got restrictions, but sometimes they focus on the wrong things. And this, you could say, do we really need a Switch version? Maybe not, but it's not a bad move. It's not a bad move. It's fine. But we've got a few questions that we'll get into before we wrap up this week's show. If you do want to leave a question for next week's episode, please do so by leaving a comment in the YouTube comment section down below or over on our Facebook page. We generally post the new Facebook page post every Wednesday or sometimes a little earlier after SmackDown's over. So keep an eye out for that on the Facebook. It is facebook.com/BrendanPlay. So check that one out and make sure you leave a question. Okay, some questions here. So first up, Damien Winters. Do you think Lana deserves all these championship opportunities at the title? People saying that Goldberg couldn't go for more than 5 minutes, but Brock can't either. So was it Brock who really can't go, or was it Goldberg? A couple of questions there. Do I think Lana deserves the title shots? One title shot, yeah, because it's something different. And I didn't mind having her have a title shot and then the women compete for the Money in the Bank. But all these other title shots were unnecessary, and it just didn't help Lana. And now, I don't even know what was that on SmackDown. She's just kind of like tagging along now, so she's kind of like, they don't know what to do with her anymore. So, I don't know. She's got to get better. She's not terrible, but they've got to keep, doing something with her. And is it Goldberg or is it Lesnar? I think it's both. I don't know. I'm really starting to believe Lesnar just can't go. This one's from Tanzan Ahmed. By the looks of it, Balor and Samson rivalry is over. Same goes for Seth and Bray. So do you think they're going to have Seth... you think they're going to have Finn and Bray have a match at SummerSlam, restarting their rivalry they had a couple of weeks ago? Because I would prefer Finn face Bray rather than Samson. Well, I really like Samson. I think he's done so well, been really a quiet achiever. I think for a debut, they didn't really give him much. They haven't really given him a lot at all, but he's taken what he's been given, and he's done the best he could with it. Having him lose to Finn in such a short period of time doesn't do any favours for him. So I don't know what his future is. I feel like he could be, getting the Tyler Breeze treatment soon. So I'm hoping not, because I really have high hopes for him. I think he really has a lot of potential. I definitely think Finn and Bray is probably the right call. I'm surprised they dropped it when they did. I thought they were going to do it, and they said they changed plans. Maybe they decided to save it for SummerSlam. I feel like that's the only logical thing they can do. There's no one else. Everyone else is already busy, so I feel like that's the only two available top guys to kind of do that match with there. This one's from Roy the Boy. What do you think of the new Assassin's Creed game? Haven't seen a lot of gameplay, but it's good that they took a break from the series. I'm sure it's going to be better than what we've seen in recent times. I don't know if the series can be salvaged. I think the issue is that we're getting a new character and new, scenery every single game. What I thought made Assassin's Creed so great was the story of Ezio, the story of his family. They had the 3 games on him. You got to know that character. You got to familiarize yourself with that character. You got to like that character over the course of those games. Assassin's Creed, just new character, new setting, all these new people. They just had no story. And even, out of the Animus, they had that storyline there with Desmond and all that as well. It just had that story there that kind of dragged me in, and that really fun gameplay. Like, the gameplay is always pretty good. It's a bit same now because we've kind of had so many games of it. But it's a story that, for me, it's always been the key, and they just haven't really sucked me into any of the story that they've done the last few games. Adam Lawton, have you ever been caught by surprise by something in your universe mode that you never thought would happen that left you laughing? For him, it was the Money in the Bank match where Heath Slater won. So he had a Money in the Bank match where Heath Slater won. Wow, that's rough. Look, I've had some glitches and things like that that happened. I think it was at NXT. I think Asuka kind of glitched and teleported and things like that. Most of the time I edit those things out, but sometimes it's just so funny and so stupid, so silly that I keep them in there just to see people's reactions. And it's always fun for me to see that. So sometimes, yeah, we do. And look, people win all the time that I'm surprised, but I couldn't tell you at the top of my head what would be. I think Santino, I always go back to Santino winning back in the early days of Universe Mode, and him winning all the time, and just being so annoying. And I think, wasn't there a time where he deliberately got himself counted out or something like that? Something stupid, I don't know. But yeah, there's been plenty. The Universe Mode's been going for so long, I just can't remember everything right now. But yes, been plenty of silly and glitchy moments that just, shake your head and you laugh at the same time. Another one from Adam. Do you think, considering how much blood and violence that happened at Great Balls of Fire, do you think WWE is slowly moving away from the PG era? No. Look, we are in a politically correct society more now than ever. Like, you can't say anything without people having an opinion, getting in an uproar, coming after you, and perhaps even ruining careers or things like that. Everyone's going to walk on eggshells these days. You can't say anything controversial without having to apologize. There's no way WWE could get away with it in this day and age. There's no way. Absolutely no way. That's why I guess the McGregor and Mayweather thing is so interesting, because they're swearing, they're carrying on, doing whatever they want, but they're getting away with it. So I guess if it's big enough and there's enough money there and the people there that just don't care, it can work. But I don't think WWE would ever let that happen. I think they've moved away from that. They're a family-friendly company. I think it was fake blood, obviously, but I think introducing that slowly back into wrestling, I think is a good thing. I'm sure they don't want to do the blading and things like that, so they probably want to do the fake blood. Look, if they can do it without it looking stupid or looking too fake, I'm okay with it. So if that's the case, that's fine. But yeah, I think it's a good thing, but I don't think we're moving away from the PG era. If anything, we're going to get more deeper in the PG era. We've moved so far deep into it, it's going to take a long time to move out. But they have the odd thing here and there that kind of makes you believe, oh, are they doing something different? But they go back to the way it is. This one's from Tudor Andre. Who do you think will win a Battleground, Jinder or Randy? I think it's going to be Jinder. I think they're still going with Jinder. Don't know why. I think he's the shits. He's on my shit list. I cannot stand him. He sucks. He's horrible. Once again, his promo on SmackDown, I just wanted to fall asleep. I just have Big reason why there's zero interest in SmackDown right now. Randy's not doing great either. But Jinder is just, oh my god. Some people still like him, that's fair enough. But for me, I just cannot stand the guy. He's on my shit list. Cameron Fox, what do you think the main event of WrestleMania will be? I think they'd be crazy not to do Reigns and Lesnar. I think that's a big money match. Say what you want to say about Roman Reigns, but I think that's a big match. I'd like to see it. I loved their first WrestleMania match. I really did. Would love before the cash-in. I was loving it before the cash-in. The cash-in was the icing on top. But I'd love to see a rematch. And you'd be crazy to do it at SummerSlam. Save that for WrestleMania. Another one from Adam Lawton. If there's a showcase in WWE 2K18, who would you like to see it be about? And what matches would you like to see? If they're going to do Showcase, I don't like Showcase. I never play Showcase. If they're going to do one, it has to be on Kurt Angle or be one on Kurt Angle. They could have another one, but it has to be one on Kurt Angle. All of his classic matches, the matches against Brock. You can't do the Benoit match, fortunately, but the Shawn Michaels matches would be great. Guerrero, all these matches he had. Mysterio, Kurt Angle, all the great matches he had over the years. So definitely that. Thomas Speller, would you like to see Seth win the IC title? I don't think it would be a step down. I think it would help the championship. I think it'd be good to get him away from the world title for a little bit, keep him strong, give Miz a good opponent. Giving him the belt, I don't know. I think Miz is still doing good enough. But at least they're injecting some life into this rivalry, giving us a bit more of a reason to get interested. Because right now, Dean Ambrose is another guy that's just doing no good. So they needed Seth to kind of help Dean out here badly. So him with the IC, I don't see it happening, but I wouldn't be against it. All right, so this one's from Roy the Boy. He's got 4 questions here. We'll quickly run through them all. What do you think of all the tag team breakups this year? If you're going to break a team up, you've got to have another team to replace them. And they don't have that. And we're about to see that with Raw right now. Losing Enzo and Cass, they're missing a babyface tag team. So if you're going to break teams up, if they're going to do the Hype Bros, you're going to have someone to replace them. They don't have that. That's why I'm saying Cruiserweights, throw a few of them together as a tag team, and that can fill the void very easily. Roy said, is Jinder on your shit list? Well, I just answered that, but yes, absolutely. Cannot stand him. He's on there. Who else is on there? I think I said Bayley's on there. She's on there right now, so it might just be Jinder and Bayley. There's never really that many people on there. I'm generally someone who I can tolerate most people, and if I don't like them, I don't like them to the point where I just cannot watch anything they do. But people who are on the shit list, I just cannot watch anything they do. I just cannot stand them whatsoever. I want to change the channel. And right now, those two probably, they're on there. So one from Raw, one from SmackDown. So there you go. I'm fair. I'm not biased. I'm fair. Do you think Battleground is hindering SmackDown's SummerSlam build? Well, absolutely. They're going to have not much time. Your Raw is going to have a few extra weeks to build to SummerSlam. But let's be honest. What are they going to do with SummerSlam? What's the big match at SummerSlam? Cena and Jinder? Oh boy, I can't wait for that one. AJ and Kevin Owens again, probably. I mean, I don't know, man. SmackDown is so uninteresting right now. So Battleground could not be any more disinteresting, in my opinion. And he also said, do you think Braun Strowman is turning babyface anytime soon? Look, honestly, I would start planting the seeds. I think him as a babyface could really, really work really well. Kevin Fox, do you think Goldust will win a title again in WWE? No. Caleb Allen, are you going to do a superstar shake-up on Universe Mode? We've been doing that. We did a draft after WrestleMania, which was not that long ago. We did a couple trades recently on Universe Mode. We've got more trades coming up probably because a lot of contracts are expiring at SummerSlam. So expect a few different things to happen. Spoiler, but expect probably a few changes here and there. We don't do a shake-up or a draft. We do one draft every year, and that does our major shake-up. But throughout the year with the contracts and things like that, we do changes here and there as we go. So you'll see, I guess, a quote-unquote shake-up. Every now and then you'll see a few different changes. So it's an ongoing shake-up that takes place over a long period of time. This one's from Bart. Would you reunite the Shield? Only if there was a big trio for them to come up against. For example, if they had another big team like the Wyatts, for sure. If Sanity comes up and they're a big deal, then perhaps. But if it's just, who's a big team? If they had Gallows and Anderson and a heel Finn Balor killing it, dominating and taking over, Absolutely, but they don't have that. They don't have that. There's no point reuniting the Shield just for 3 guys thrown together. No point. You got to make that special, make that huge. So until there's a team that warrants it, I wouldn't do it. Like for example, when they did Evolution in the Shield, you wouldn't bring back Evolution unless there's a big team for them to come up against, and there was the Shield, and it was epic. King Samir, which match are you most excited for at Battleground? None of them. Absolutely none of them. I have zero interest in Battleground. The only thing I'm excited for is to see what the Punjabi prison looks like. I couldn't even tell you the rest of the matches. I just don't care. SmackDown, I'm really struggling to watch it right now. It's a shame because I love SmackDown all until, the shakeup. As soon as the shakeup happened, I said on this podcast, SmackDown, got murdered. Raw has won the shakeup and Raw's going to be the better show, and it has been. I loved it. Some people say SmackDown was better this week. I don't agree. I think Raw was far better. Raw's got so many much more interesting storylines. At least 3 good storylines going on right now, in my opinion. SmackDown has 0. This one's from Nanovirus. It's our last question of the show. And it is, who do you think is the best part-time at wrestling today? It's pretty easy. It's Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho comes in for extended period of time, has great matches, reinvents himself. His last run was one of his best. Cena's pretty, if you want to call Cena a part-timer, he's always, very good. He comes in, has some good matches, but I think Jericho's last run was just excellent. You cannot take that away from him. But that is all we have time for this edition of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, ladies and gentlemen. If you did, make sure you do leave a like on this episode. Leave a question for next week's episode, of course, by leaving a comment in the YouTube comment section down below or over on the Facebook page as well. If you haven't already, do leave a like on the Facebook page, facebook.com/BrendanPlays. Follow me on Twitter at BrendanPlays to stay up to date with everything to do with Brendan Plays so you don't miss anything from me. And make sure you go ahead and check out the forums, BrendanPlays.com/forums to discuss everything we talked about in this episode and a lot more. Chat about all the latest in wrestling on the forums or over on our Discord chat. And you can access the Discord chat on the forum. So check that out and join up and join the discussion over on there and join the Brendan Plays family. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I hope you have yourselves a great week, and I will see you all next Thursday.